ladies and gentlemen across the galaxy, this is your Grand Admiral Arnold, although it may not look like it right now because Gary didn't have the suit washed before the beginning of the week. It's all good though, because today I'm going to be talking about how you can master the Rebel Roundup Assault Battle, the latest new fresh coat of paint on old content and Galaxy of Heroes. It is challenging content, especially Challenge Tier 2, but today I'm going to go over a strategy on how to beat both Challenge 1 and Challenge Tier 2 without having to go crazy with relics like they are recommending. They're recommending over relic 5s? Nah, Chief. Gary, I feel naked without my suit on. How are they going to know I'm the director of the video gaming division now? All right, so let's go ahead and break this down, ladies and gentlemen. First things first, I have to disclose this much. This is not actually all that bad in regards to the new mythic tier that was added and the challenge tier 1. People are doing challenge tier 1 with gear 11, gear 12 characters. Really, you don't need gear 13 and relics. And I think this is going to be the most important tier, the challenge, the take on, especially mythic tier as well, because there's 2 Zetas there. But the rewards for challenge tier 1 are so much better compared to challenge tier 2, especially for the amount of difficulty you got to go through for challenge tier 2. Gear 13, relic 1 character. So this is, you could probably go a little bit lower. And the lineup I'm going to be recommending to you guys today is a full-on debuff heavy thermal detonator lineup, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna light this place up. Can you tell I spent all day doing this event? The trick to the matter is you're gonna want to be running Bosk, Dengar, Zam Wessel, Greedo, and Cad Bane. You know why? Because each and every one of those characters aside from Bosk has thermal detonator synergy. And you're gonna be able to 3-star this event if you follow this guide, or at least complete this event, assuming you're within some margin of similar gear compared to what we're running here. Speed's not important because they're gonna run circles around you. You're wasting your time with speed. This event is kind of counterintuitive to what we're normally used to. You want to mod for as much protection as possible. Firstly, the On the Hunt leadership grants a ton of extra protection, so just load up as much protection as possible. Let's move on to the first character I think is the most important for this, GREEDO. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to maximize this character's usefulness. Go for a critical damage set, critical chance set, and here you go. You see I just slapped on protection. You need to survive. You need to survive as much as possible. And when you look at GREEDO's 78,000 protection plus 50 extra percent through the boss leadership, he's going to be a chunky mother flipper of a Rodian. What is so important about GREEDO? Firstly, he spams a lot of thermal detonators. This whole lineup is about thermal detonators because the problem is you can't just sheer brute force your way just through normal damage because these characters are so thick. They're thick for days. Kylo run unmasked, can't even get that thick. But thermal detonators does massive chunks of damage and you cannot cleanse it, so Chirrut is complete, utter trash. Against thermal detonators, GREEDO's gonna get a ton of turn meter through thermal detonators exploding, which is why you don't need to worry about having speed on this team. Secondly, has a buff this spell, has a stun. You do not need the Zeta on GREEDO to make this work. It is nice, some people do have it, but you do not need the Zeta. The only Zetas you're going to need for this lineup are going to be the boss Zeta, preferably the lead. Unique ability probably going to be helpful too. And really, that's it. The rest of the Zetas on this team are not going to be that important. They're very minor at the very best. This is test accounts. That's why we have all the Zetas. You do not need all the Zetas to make it work. Boss Zeta is the most important Zeta. Furthermore, with GREEDO, what you're going to want to do, you need to make sure you take advantage of the special ability you get called many disintegrations. And the reason why that's the case, pay attention to the footage as we're going to be showcasing in a few moments here. You're going to want to make sure you're going to get GREEDO to make sure he uses many disintegrations and finish off an enemy, because when he does that, he's going to get a special buff that increases his offensive output. And at the beginning, he's only hitting for like 10,000, but by the end of the whole thing, he's hitting for about 60,000 plus damage on the basic, and he also gets to counterattack. So when he counterattacks, he's going to keep hitting over and over and over again. Because of this unique ability, he has a 50% chance to attack again whenever he scores a critical hit. You want to make sure you stack up as many disintegrations on him as possible, because he is going to be eventually your highest damage dealer aside from the thermal detonators. So GREEDO's most important. Zam Wessel is going to be also important, mainly because all the thermal detonator synergy. When you're throwing all these thermal detonators, those are debuffs, and that's going to be counting towards the boss health and protection regeneration. You need survivability. You need to survive as long as possible. And plus, you can get even more thermal detonators on the enemy with this ability. Recover some protection, which is nice. Extra turn meter. It all works. Moving on from here, we got Dengar. Again, really, just the thermal detonators is the main reason why he's here, because we have 3 thermal detonator AoE characters, smash those AoEs out there as much as possible. And you're just going to see protection, health, and enemies die before you. There may be limbs across the field, but don't worry, Gary will clean those up after you. Also, what's going to be kind of nice is that his basic will call people to assist. So if you can get GREEDO to assist after he has like 10 disintegration buffs on him, he's going to get massive amounts of damage. And the unique ability as well. Wrong one. I mean, the payout will allow people to assist whenever special abilities are being used by your fellow allies. So again, if you can do AoE, throw some thermal detonators out, get Dengar to use his basic from an assist, and then with his basic, he has a chance to call another ally to assist. There's a lot of great stuff going on here. And then lastly, Cad Bane. This is a character that oddly enough was kind of helpful, more so than Jango Fett, which is kind of weird. I've been knocking at this event all day long, trying every single leader, so many different lineups, and finally this was the lineup that came in handy a lot. And really, what's kind of nice is that Cad Bane has a chance to, first off, throw some thermal detonators with his unique ability. Cad Bane has a 25% evasion and inflicts thermal detonators for 2 turns on attacking enemies when Cad Bane evades. We have 4 thermal detonator characters. Cad Bane not as much, but you'd be surprised how often he's going to evading, because plus his basic ability has a chance to inflict accuracy down, so he can evade quite a lot, and he's responsible for a lot of thermal detonators that are being on the field. And of course, basic as well, dispels buffs, stuns, removes turn meter, so if you need to get around the tank to go to somewhere else, because the one downside of this team, there's not a lot of ways to get around tanks like Boba Fett and Jango Fett, but you don't need that. Thermal detonators, smash them out as much as possible is going to be the way to go. All right, so that's the strategy that we're working with. 1 Zeta, Boss Gleed. A lot of people have double Zeta and Boss Gleed, it's not going to hurt, but you for sure need the Boss Gleed. I tried Ember Lead, I tried Zam Lead, I tried every other type of leadership in here. You need to survive the initial wave, and that's why I've been telling you mod for protection, so that way Boss can give you even more protection. And if you could survive that initial wave, you're going to be in a good spot. I actually got through the first 2 waves on my main account, the lesser geared bounty hunters, but without Zam, it was getting hard to kind of progress a little bit. So mod for as much protection. And in the first wave, what you're going to want to do is make sure you immediately just trigger Boss Contract, because once you get that contract off, you are going to be in a much better situation. Once you get the payout, once you get the contract triggered, you're going to get the plus 50 speed through Boss, and then all those contracts, those payouts for all those bounty hunters are going to start triggering. You cannot get beyond wave 1 without the contract. So quickly, what I recommend doing is taking out either Chirrut or Powell. With all those thermal detonators exploding, you're gonna have a very good chance of knocking one of those guys out first. Those are gonna be the first 2 characters you gotta take out in any order, Powell or Chirrut first. I'd prefer to go after Powell first because he gets the offense up, but if Chirrut has an opportunity to take him out because the heal over times get really annoying. And really, once you take out Chirrut, you're guaranteed to get past wave 1. And what you're gonna wanna do at this point, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be kind of funny. Remember the many disintegrations thing I've been talking about? There's a way to cheese it to get as many stacks as possible throughout this whole entire matchup. With the Scarab Rebel Pathfinders, you have a great opportunity to use many disintegrations, because when Rebel Scarab Pathfinder dies off, if he has a buff on him, he revives again. And what can you do? You can create a loop. Use many disintegrations, kill off a Scarab Rebel Pathfinder with the buff, repeat the cycle. It keeps reviving. Many disintegrations, kill Rebel Pathfinder, buff, revive, many disintegrations, kill off Rebel Pathfinder, revive. Continue that loop as much as possible. Dengar kind of made it tricky because he was starting to assist a lot more, and it kind of got in the way. What your main priority you're going to want to do is try to take advantage of this. This whole run took about 35 minutes, so you're going to need to be patient. If you're running low relic and gears on this, you're going to have to play this a little patiently. Take as much time as you need to stack up many disintegrations, and make sure GREEDO is your #1 priority to get as many on as possible. The rest are kind of optional. You don't really need to worry too much, but GREEDO, he's going to put out the highest amount of physical amounts of damage aside from your thermal detonator. So take as much time as you need to time out many disintegrations, cheese your way through getting as many as possible through the Scarab Rebel Pathfinders, and just in general, when you're about to defeat someone, use many disintegrations and kill that person off with GREEDO if possible. You'll notice some of these rounds, I'm going to take as much time as I need to kind of stall out the damage. I'll put someone around like 5% health, move on to someone else, and when I have many disintegrations on GREEDO, I'll trigger it, kill that person that was about to die off, and just take advantage of this. And if you see a Scarab Rebel Pathfinder, try to milk as many stacks as possible. Phase 2, this one gets a little tricky because there's healing immunity, but if you modded for protection, like I recommended, the temporary healing immunity that casting applies is not going to hurt you all that much. First priority has to be Jyn Erso. You're going to find a window of opportunity. Once you start spreading all those thermal detonators, things are going to go wild, limbs are going to be flying across the field, but make sure you focus on Jyn Erso. so she doesn't revive. Casting should be priority number 2, so he stops the healing immunity. And really, it's easy at this point again, and just take your time. Make sure you time out many disintegrations on GREEDO if possible, so his damage can increase. Again, pay attention. Throughout this battle, you're going to see GREEDO stack up his damage like wild. Phoenix phase, this is really the last difficult phase you have to deal with, and from here on out, it's going to be a cakewalk. Trust me. This is going to be a little bit tricky because this team has high survivability that you're going up against, but their damage output is not going to be nearly as high. You're going to ideally want to take out Ezra or Sabine first, but from what you see here, I was just kind of going guns blazing of thermal detonators. Chopper died off first, but eventually you're going to want to make sure you take out Ezra at the minimum as early as possible because that's really your bigger damage dealer. And then from there, you got to make sure you kill off then Hera so she doesn't give any revive opportunities, and then Zeb, because I tried going after Kanan for a long time, but as you see with all the debuffs, he kept reviving, regenerating a lot of health. So you're going to want to take out Zeb second to last, and then finally Kanan. And then I'm just going to fast forward through the rest of this between phases 4, 5, 6, and 7. All that stuff, those are basically easy phases. If you can make through the first 3 phases with this thermal detonator crew, you're going to be in a good spot. Take your time through these next phases to generate as much stacks of many disintegrations on GREEDO and the rest of your team, because finally, once you get over to the last phase, things start to get, it gets trickier, but I don't think it's nearly as tricky as the first 3 phases you're going to be encountering, because the last phase, GREEDO stacks of many disintegrations should be crazy high. You're going to see he's going to counterattack. His counterattacks killed several people because of how deadly his basic attack became and his counterattacking capabilities. And again, just spread thermal detonators everywhere. You have so much survivability with this team right here. And again, once they're going to get a lot of that initial damage onto you, but if you can survive the first few seconds, you're going to be golden. This lineup, I've been banging at this event all day. Tried recording a video with Mobile Gamer, trying to find some stuff, and eventually I had to spend another couple hours, and this is what I came up with. I think this is going to be the best way to get through this event without having crazy high gear, crazy high relics. This is just the way to do it. Survive as long as possible. No matter what gear level you're bringing in, I'm thinking gear 12 is probably going to be minimum for this event. You're going to want to just have as much protection as possible on this team of yours. Get this thermal detonator blazing team as many debuffs on the field as possible. The reason why this works so well is just there's so much mass AoE thermal detonator spamming, which keeps your team alive as long as possible through that boss lead. Those thermal detonators are going to explode left and right, taking big chunks of damage, triggering so much turn meter. There's just this is a really fun lineup to run for this event. Yes, I think it's kind of a bad idea to make difficulty massive preloaded turn meter. I was ripping my hair off because Baze, one of the slowest characters in the game, probably the slowest character in Galaxy of Heroes, will take about 5 turns before you do, which is kind of absurd, I think. But if you just mod for survivability and just rely on thermal detonators and many disintegrations on GREEDO, you're going to be in a very good spot. And just sit back and relax. If you're doing this with low gear and relics, you're going to be at least doing this for 30 minutes at the minimum if you follow this guide. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of cool seeing this event challenge you, making you think outside the box a little bit. This event really did give me vibes very much similar to the Chewbacca legendary event, where speed was not a concern. Survivability for these bounty hunters and surviving the first 500 hits is going to be the most important goal. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like if you did enjoy the video, comment down below on all your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And as always, my friends, no disintegrations. I lied. Many disintegrations.